So tonight we are talking generational wealth with an online business. Discover how your children can inherit what you build today. Now, possibly one of the biggest worries we as parents have is how will our children fare once we get, as they get older and as, we leave this earthly plane. While a big part of their future is beyond our control, it can help to set our minds at ease if we can find a source of income that we can establish and grow that they can eventually inherit and benefit from. I know that's definitely something for me as a mom. So in this webinar, we're going to be talking about an amazing business opportunity that you can build now and eventually pass on to your children, your children's children, and really as long and as far as it can go. So let's cover a little bit about what you're going to learn today. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to pick an opportunity that's right for you. Now, for everybody, it's a little bit different. Robin here is going to share a little bit about how her grandmother picked the opportunity and why she decided to stick with it, how to grow your business, how to set it up for inheritance, how to get started, and then there's also a few little cool stories that Robin's going to share with us as she shares her journey. So tonight we have Robin Reves-May. So Robin is a third-generation Shaklee business owner, and what that means is that the business that she is currently running has been passed down, and she is now the third generation to receive this business and be able to work with it. Her grandmother Helen became a Shaklee distributor in Porterville, California, way back in 1964. And it didn't take long for Helen to understand that the organization she built was valuable, not only financially, but in the difference that it made for her business partners and her customers. So she wanted to be sure that it would be taken care of long after she was gone. So Robin and her parents, they took over the business after Helen passed away. Helen passed away in 1986, and Robin and her parents took over the business in 1987. And nearly 33 years later, Robin is looking forward to preparing the next generation of her family to continue to share all of the benefits that a Shaklee business has to offer. So we're very excited, and I just have to remember what buttons to push. Very excited to have Robin here. Robin, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You are so welcome. Thank you for inviting me. It's really an honor to be here to talk about myself, talk about my family, and really talk about, the benefits of a Shaklee business. It's truly remarkable.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to share your story. And after our chat last night, it was just so neat to really have it sink in and realize the potential that this really does have for people. Yeah. So first, I'd love you to share your grandmother's story and how she was introduced to this opportunity, because it was a little bit different than most. Yeah. And also, why did she decide to actually jump in and start? So I'd love you to share that with us.
Well, my grandmother was an interesting character. So, like you said, it was in 1964. She was in her late 50s at the time. And she had been in a variety of jobs, mostly waitressing, and she and her husband were even running an organic farm for a while, managing an organic farm, which is kind of unusual in the 60s to hear that word organic. So she already had this lean towards health and the importance of clean food. So this one day in 1964, hot summer day in the Valley of California, Porterville, there was a gentleman out in front of her house, and she didn't know this, but he was there to present the Shaklee business opportunity to her neighbor. And the neighbor stood him up. He wasn't there. And I think he'd driven kind of a long way to get there. So my grandmother saw him, and she thought, this guy needs a glass of water. So she actually walked out, asked him with a glass of water. And he thought that was pretty darn nice. And I'm guessing he thought to himself, I've come all this way, so I'm going to ask this nice lady if she would like to listen to my presentation and what we have to offer. So she agreed, and the rest is history. But what my grandmother saw from what he shared she said, I can do that. Now, what that was I can sell Basic H. And that's what she saw, because she got excited about Basic H because of the organic farming. And she knew the importance of a product like that. So I'm told that she loaded up the trunk of her car and went door to door selling Basic H. And that's how it started. My grandmother didn't understand the networking part of our network marketing business. She was excited. She was passionate about what she was doing. And she just started attracting people. She knew that other people could sell the products too. So she would say, you could do this too. And that's how things started. And my grandmother didn't really understand how the networking piece worked until she was at a coordinator level. And that's when it clicked in her mind, and she was making more money than she'd ever made in her entire life, because she and her husband really were quite poor. And she just, I mean, that's all Grandma was. She was like Shaklee personified. So, yeah, fun story.
I think so far that is still my favorite story of how someone joined the business. Because, I mean, what are the odds? You have some guy that you don't know and you offer him water, and next thing you know, it turns into this lifelong legacy. Yeah. And now your grandmother, she built the business up to quite the level before she passed away and passed it on to you. Am I correct?
She did. And I wanted to add one thing too, as business people. That story points to, you never know who you may have an opportunity to talk to about our business or our products, because you never know who's going to say yes or no. I mean, Harry had no idea when he, introduced it to my grandmother. So he took that opportunity, and boy, it really paid off. So, oh gosh, what was the question you asked me? I get so sidetracked.
Where she built the business up to.
Yep. She built it up to a senior key coordinator. Over that 64 to 87 is what, 23 years. And she did so well. They had moved to Grants Pass, Oregon from California. And they were doing so well that she was even able to build her own Shaklee office in Grants Pass, Oregon. So she had this beautiful meeting room with offices for her other business partners. And yeah, she was quite a woman.
She sounds like quite a woman.
Yeah.
Like an incredible woman.
Yeah, she was. And then the year after she passed away, unfortunately, there was already someone who was building a business, and that person became a director, that made the organization a master coordinatorship, like just before we officially took over. So
wow, yeah. That's a fascinating story and an absolutely incredible journey for your grandmother. So yeah. All in all, you got to inherit this business with your father. Tell us a little bit about that story and what it has meant for you and your family having that to be able to step into.
Yeah. Well, I was a young mom. When we took over the business, I was 28. I had a 10-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter. And I was working for my dad in his insurance business. My dad owned a general agency. And when we had the opportunity to take over Grandma's business, we really weren't sure what we were getting into. So first of all, we had to kind of really navigate what this was and what we had and how we could participate. But as I looked out into my future before Shaklee, I just looked out and I was like, well, I'm going to work for the rest of my life. I was working full time, so my girls were in daycare. I didn't pick them up after school. They had to go to, after school programs. And the little one, Courtney, was in daycare. And I didn't get to go to school functions. I didn't get to participate in things like that. And I never thought too much about it because it just wasn't a possibility. I was divorced, And there was no way that I didn't see any way at that time that life could be any different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just going to plug away, work in a job, and do the best I could. So when Grandma passed away and we had this opportunity, my dad just said to me, well, you want to do this? And like, well, yeah, because I'm not sure what else I'm going to do, so let's figure it out. And that's what we did.
That's incredible. And so what has that meant for your family freedom-wise? So now you've gotten to be home with the kids.
Yeah.
What do you think your life would have been like if this hadn't happened?
Oh my goodness. I can't even, you know, it's like I can't quite wrap my head around what my life would be like. I have no idea, except that I didn't see, like I said, I didn't see much of a future for myself. But what happened when we took over is I was able to then be home, work from home, work with my parents, take my kids to school, pick them up from school. I didn't have to put Courtney in daycare. It gave me so much more opportunity to discover who I was in the world. The opportunity for personal growth was huge because I had more time and more time freedom to be able to develop myself. And of course, the Shaklee business too is a great teaching tool. It really requires you to step up. Mm-hmm. So it's provided, besides all the travel that we've done with my family, has been remarkable. We've been to some fabulous places, all on Shaklee's dime. And those trips are certainly remarkable. I remember the first one we went to, which was in 1987, and it was in Hawaii. And I was there, my mom and my dad and me and my sister, and I believe both of my daughters. And I was completely overwhelmed by how well taken care of we were. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced in my lifetime. So Shaklee trips are, you know, really quite extraordinary. And so, like I said, I can't quite imagine what I'd be doing if I didn't have, maybe I'd still be in the insurance business. I don't know. It's
hard to think about when you're already in this spot, as to what could have happened. And I tell you, for your sake, I'm grateful that this was put into your hands and that you had this opportunity. So that's fantastic. Now, a cool story that you shared is that your daughter actually did get into a traditional business because you are very much a supporter and an encourager of being an entrepreneur. And as you shared, your kids just have that entrepreneurial mindset. So can you share a little bit about the difference that she experienced with being an entrepreneur in a physical business as compared to what you experience in the Shaklee business?
I always encouraged my girls to, you know, to look to see what they want to do in life. Don't just, you know, come into the Shaklee business because it's here for you. A little different opportunity for them than it was for my parents and I coming in the way we did. So they grew up with Shaklee. I didn't grow up with Shaklee so much. They did. And so that, like you said, it really did create an entrepreneurial spirit in them because they all had jobs, but didn't like working for somebody else. Mm-hmm. So my daughter Courtney was looking for what she could do, and she started a sandwich restaurant, so a little sandwich deli. And she had that for 10 years until it got to the point where it was just, you know, not making enough money. She was tired of dealing with employees. The amount of time that she had to work in the business to really oversee and make sure things were running properly was tremendous. You know, she was some weeks had to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And she, during that time, got married and has 2 little boys, and that became such a burden for her that she just earlier this year decided she was done. So she sold the business. And now that whole time, she's also been a Shaklee director. So she's had her little Shaklee business over here as a director, not doing much with it, but maintaining that rank. So every month, she'd get a little check. And now at this point, she's unfortunately had to go get a little job to supplement her Shaklee income, but really sees the Shaklee business as being the ticket to make the big impact in her family and to be able to be home with those kids.
Yes, and that's such an important thing to understand too, because I never owned a business, but I was friends with people who owned a business very similar, and you're tied to it 100%. I mean, if the employees don't show up, you're the backup. And in managing employees, it can turn into such a hassle and so stressful. So I'm very excited to see what her journey has in store for her as she builds hers. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that and to show people the difference. So now things have changed a lot since your grandmother started in this industry.
Yes.
How we communicate with, yes, hallelujah. How we communicate with people, how we can reach people now has greatly changed. So how has the transition been for you coming from the old school traditional ways of doing this business to now moving into a more digital age of it, and how that's able to connect you with more people?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, when we took over, we were still shipping our own products all over the country. Mm-hmm. And so thank goodness we don't have to do that anymore, or load up the back of our trunks with, Basic H and drive around the neighborhood selling Basic H. I can't even imagine. So, this is a relationship business. When we first came in, we, had to figure out where to go to meet people and how to network and, really word of mouth. But with the introduction of the internet and social media, it's been a challenge for me to post on Facebook and Instagram because I don't quite get why people care what I'm doing. But I've had to figure that out. I've had to figure out how to, invent myself as a brand, and I'm still learning, but it's pretty exciting, particularly when I spend time with my granddaughter, who's very savvy about social media. In fact, I asked her yesterday to give me some pointers, so she's going to be my coach, my social media coach for a while, until I get really comfortable with postings so that I can reach out to people and they can, of course, see what I'm up to and maybe take an interest that way. But it certainly doesn't take the place of that one-on-one relationship building. Mm-hmm. That's very important to whether you're connecting with someone on Zoom because they're not local, or getting to know someone at the gym or over a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. You've got to do that piece.
Yes, but it's
internet's made it a lot easier for sure. And with the technology of our back office, to be able to place orders for people and take care of people, really some remarkable things. And the company's done a really good job creating that Shaklee back office. And then, of course, a system like your Freedom Project, which is become so incredibly robust and informative, has really excited me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a very exciting time in the world of technology and the world of this business as well. And as you said, just to reiterate this, because I think it is so important to drive it home, is sometimes with technology we get so reliant on it and we believe that it's going to do the work for us, but really and truly it's there to support us, but we still have to talk to the people and build those relationships. But now we have this avenue to be able to expand our reach beyond our local zone and who we bump into at the grocery store to where we can reach anybody in the world. So I think that's a very valuable and valid point that you brought up, and I appreciate you for sharing that. Now, segueing back to the inheritance part and setting this up for generational wealth, the process actually you shared with me is quite simple, which is nice. What is the best way to set up your business to be passed on and to be inherited to the next generation? What's the easiest way for that to happen?
Yeah, the easiest way is all I'm going to talk about tonight because there are lots of different ways as you build up an organization and you want it protected for your family. But really the easiest way is to have a will and have the business, in the will, who it's going to go to. Name who it's going to go to. And then the important piece is you have to register your will with Shaklee. And there's a form that you have to fill out, register the will, and then you're done. And pretty much don't have to worry about anything else.
Mm-hmm. And one question that popped into mind, you may or may not know this, I'm kind of going to spring it on you, is if you change your will, say something happens and you need to change who it's being willed to, is the process very similar? You just have to update it with the will that's registered with Shaklee?
Yeah, as long as the will is registered, it's a good question probably for Marjorie, and what I would do, because I'm not an attorney, is if you do make any changes to your will, send something to legal and ask them, hey, I made changes to my will. Do I need to do anything with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I think as long as it's registered, you're good, but always good to ask those questions. Always good to get, flat on everything. Talk to an attorney, because you're building something that has an incredible amount of value. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to mess around with, when you've got something that has that much value, you want to make sure that it is going to be taken care of and that it goes to the people that you want to take care of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because families can get squirrely.
They sure can. That's excellent. So I have two more questions for you before we end off. So the first one is if there was somebody who was looking for an opportunity like this, what would you suggest they look for in a company to partner with? Sure.
Well, I think most important is don't necessarily jump on a bandwagon with a brand new company that's got all the bells and whistles and perceived excitement about what's new. It's important because if you research, network marketing companies go in and out of business all the time very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so what's important if you're really looking for something in the long term is that you're with a company who has stood the test of time. And we call them legacy companies. And Shaklee is one of those legacy companies. That's really important. You also want a company that produces products that you have fallen in love with. So I think it's important to really love the products that you're selling because it's going to show. Mm-hmm. You want a company where there's no huge investment. So you want a minimal investment, and that can range anywhere from $500 to $1,000, depending on how many products, the product package you want to get into, but you can expect that kind of investment. Any more than that I'd be leery. You want to look at the compensation plan. You want to know that the company's got a good tech support, a good back office for you to run your business, and that it's on your phone, so you can run it from your phone. That's important. And then since we talked about it, you want to make sure that your business, that they allow you to either will your business or sell your business should you want to at some point. Some companies don't allow that. So and we don't always think about that when we're looking at opportunities. And then a success system that you can plug into like Freedom Project. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's excellent.
That's quite a few.
That is quite a few. But it's important to look at those things because you want to make sure that when you get into a business and a company that it's something you can stand behind and that's going to take care of your needs as well. So that's a great piece of info to share. And then the last question I have for you, and I'm really excited about this one, is how do you see your business that you're building, that you have inherited, how do you see that benefiting the generations of your families to come?
Yeah. I mean, I know what this business has done for us in the financial freedom that we have, the time freedom that we have, the personal development that I've been able to experience and take advantage of, and the financial security. So, as I said, my daughter, who is fourth generation, is building her Shaklee business. I have a granddaughter who is fifth generation, and she's 23 years old, and she has a corporate job right now. She is working from home, but she definitely sees the benefits of a Shaklee business and sees that for her future. Now, Whether she gets to or not will depend on if she listens to her grandma. But I also have a great granddaughter. So Alexis has a baby who is 13 months old, and they're all Shaklee kids. I mean, my grandkids have grown up on Shaklee. My great granddaughter is growing up on Shaklee. And I see this when I think about, oh, I just got goosebumps. When I think about what the lifestyle that they will be able to have because of what my grandmother built starting in 1964, it kind of blows my mind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just extraordinary. And it's an opportunity that I am so thrilled to be able to give to them like my grandmother gave to me.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I'm so excited for the future of your business and how you continue to grow it. I want to take the time just to thank you so much, Robin, for joining us tonight. And with that, we're going to close it off so we can all go off and enjoy the rest of our evening. But thank you all who joined. Thank you, Robin, for coming and sharing this amazing story. I mean, third generation and for generations to come. It's incredibly exciting. So let me just get back to my share here and we'll finish this off. So, button. So thank you all for joining. If you are wanting some information about the Shaklee opportunity specifically and about YFP, get together with the person who invited you to this webinar. They would be happy to guide you through and show you what's available. And also, for anyone who's our health nut, next week we are also having Dr. Richard Brose come back and talk to us about stress and how it affects your body and a few things, well, I wouldn't say precautions, but a few actions that you can take to help your body handle that stress a little bit better. But I really hope this was a valuable webinar for you and that you can truly see that building an opportunity like this can give your family a lifestyle that is bar none to any other lifestyle that you could ever offer and leave behind. So thank you all so much, and we will see you all next time.